Hey, it's Meredith Shamburger with the Lansing Journal, and you'll notice this is not the police station, it's my house. One very good reason for that, normally we try to do these videos after the meeting, but my phone died right as the meeting was wrapping up, so I'm coming to you here. The February 17th meeting, they approved a lot of stuff that we've been going over the past couple of weeks. The fireworks show for America's 250th birthday, that's set for June 27th at the Lansing Municipal Airport. Going to be a 25-minute show. It's going to cost the village about $55,000, and that got final approval at this meeting. We also, the board also approved a resolution for a runway rehabilitation at the airport. It's runway 927, which was built in the 1940s, last updated in the early 2000s. The project budget is $2.15 million, and the village is supposed to match that to $53,000 thereabouts. Although that number could rise, they say, depending on how wide of a runway is approved by federal officials. The board also approved some zoning changes. Basically, they adopted an ordinance that reduces the amount of space needed for auto sales. Previously, they had required automobile sales to occur on a lot no less than an acre in size. Think about, the big car dealerships on Torrance Avenue. But they heard from one car company that's small, they only do online sales. They don't really need that much of a space, and so this change accommodates businesses like that. At the committee of the whole meeting, you'll hear they talked about a Chicago Avenue roadway improvement project that they're planning. That would be for Chicago Avenue north of the interstate, so basically where all the industrial businesses are. Looks like probably a much needed project for that road, and you'll get to see all the details and kind of the timeline for when that might happen. And that's going to be it. Their next meeting is in March, so we'll see you then.
Good evening. You're welcome to the Village of Lansing Board meeting, March 17th, 2026. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, would you please take the roll call? Here. 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 I'll make note that trustees Ellen Russ is absent, but Reed with excuse. Trustees have before them the village minutes board meeting on February 3rd, 2026. Are there any questions or discussions? If not, I need a motion to accept. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Boston.
Aye.
Trustee Donaldson.
Aye.
Trustee Smith.
Aye.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustees also have the minutes from the executive session meeting on February 3rd, 2026. Again, any questions or discussions on those minutes? If not, I need a motion to accept. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please take the roll.
Trustee Boston.
Aye.
Trustee Donaldson.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to the mayor's report, Chief Al Phillips. We have to recognize Ryan, I'm sorry, Detective Ryan Wagner as a Lansing police officer, employee of the year.
All right, Mr. Mayor, thank you for this time. I appreciate it. Elected officials, thank you for giving us this opportunity to showcase what we have going on here. We all know about the transfer portal in college sports, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, now how IU won a championship, they went from nothing to be great. Well, that's what we've done here with Lansing. We kind of consider our lateral program is our transfer portal. Because everything we've done in this village and built our police department up, people want to come to us. We're one of those premier agencies on the south side now, and I got 6 laterals sitting in the back right now. They're out there going, yeah, you're right, this is a good department. Well, Ryan came to us from another town, which I will not tell anybody where he's from. we stole him from. But he came here and he hit the ground running. He did a great job. He did great in patrol. He did so well that he managed to get in the detective bureau within a year. That just doesn't happen around here. It's a long time to get in that detective bureau. But once he got in there, he did a great job too. He's kind of our go-to guy. He's got a lot of experience. We got people in the back that he works very well with. Detective Jake Makuzak back there. You guys are good partners. You guys are doing a great job together. But because of all the great work that you did, our lieutenants decided and voted on who our best employee of the year, and that goes for everybody at the police department. And they voted on you, Detective Ryan Wagner. Congratulations. Here's where we usually turn it over to Jerry Zoldenrust, and he says some great things. We're going to stand in. Ken Reynolds, where you
So, yeah, thank you, and I got to thank the wife. Got to deal with being gone for days and days, and being called out at 2 a.m. She's great, very understanding with it, and she understands that this is a great place. March 20th will be my 3rd year here, and I wish I would have came here soon. So, thank you.
Detective Wagner, I appreciate it. Congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meredith.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Congrats, man.
Thanks again, Chief. Moving on, I got a proclamation in recognition of Black History Month, February 2026. I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas during Black History Month, we honor extraordinary contributions made by African Americans throughout the history of our republic, and we renew our commitment to liberty and justice for all. Whereas during Black History Month, we recognize the achievements of African Americans and their role in shaping history, along with the contributions that African Americans make to enhance the economic, culture, spiritual, and political development of our country. And whereas this year's theme, A Century of Black History Commencements, which celebrates the 100th anniversary of Black History Month, and whereas the founders of Black History Month urge us to explore the impact and meaning of Black history and life commemorations in transforming the status of Black people in the modern world, and whereas in celebrating the entire history of Black History Month, the Association of the Study of African American Life and History at www.asalh.org puts into the national spotlight the richness of the past and present. And whereas this year, when we are all also commemorating the 250th anniversary of the United States independence, it is important to tell not only an inclusive history, but an accurate one. Now therefore, I, Brian P. Hardy, Mayor of the Village of Lansing, along with the Lansing Village Board of Trustees, do hereby proclaim February 2026 as Black History Month in the Village of Lansing, and urge all our citizens to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Congratulations. Moving on, we have the Village Administrator's Report, Mr. Podgorski.
Thank you, Mayor, for having this meeting.
Thank you. Moving on to the Village Attorney's Report, Mr. Walsh.
Nothing to report.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to Finance and HRC, Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Village of Lansing. I'd like to make a motion to approve total payroll and a total accounts payable for the period ending February 6th and 13th for the amount of $836,018.88, and for accounts payable $584,853.83.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for total payroll from February 6, 2026 and February 13, 2026 for the amount of $836,018.88, and total accounts payable from February 2nd, 2026 to February 17th, 2026 in the amount of $584,853.83. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Smith.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Abasi.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Thank you. Now moving on to department reports. I'll start off with HRC with a message from the chairperson. HRC held a meeting February 12th. There is now a vacancy on the HRC with one resignation. They had two guests come to their meeting on the 12th to discuss opportunities to partner with HRC. Upcoming events that HRC will be participating at: Coolidge Black History event will be held on the 26th from 5 to 6:30, and HRC was invited to participate with the table. The Prevent Child Abuse Awareness Month, which is the 4th or 5th year they're doing this event with Lansing Go Blue, which is bringing child abuse awareness all across the residents and businesses of Lansing. There will be several events for the month of April, starting off with a kickoff, Illinois Wear Blue Day, April 10th, a walk against child abuse, which is tentatively scheduled for the 25th, and an event at the library, a memorial night with candles, remembering children and all who've experienced abuse and neglect. There'll also be opportunities for any residents that want to participate with blue ribbons that you can put around your tree, planting pinwheels in your yard or yard signs, blue pastries, which will be at the Cape Bakery, blue light bulbs that you can put on your porch or in front of your yard for awareness. Third annual Lansing Music for the Soul will be held May 31st with the rain date of June 8th at Fox Point. We're looking forward to sharing different groups and bands from all over as far as Minneapolis, Minnesota. Then there's a Juneteenth event, Friday, June 19th, that's also being held at Fox Point, and HRC is also looking forward to the Lansing Block Party, which is June 6th, 2026, and the National Night Out, August 4th, 2026. So those are some events for this year that you can see HRC being in participation of. Next, I'd like to pass it over to Director Hannigan to go over the finance and insurance report.
Thanks, Trustee Smith. I'm going to defer my dazzling presentation till later in the evening at the Committee of the Whole, although I don't think it's going to be close to the presentation from Mr. Reynolds on fields and Chief Koyenga on EMS rates, but I will try.
Okay, we'll push you off to your presentation in the next meeting. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to airport and insurance. Trustee Valencia.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one item in the docket here that can make a motion that we approve resolution number 1535, authorizing the execution of a professional service agreement between the village, Crawford Murphy and Tilly Inc. for engineering services at the Lansing Municipal Airport project number IGQ-5243, rehabilitation runway 927, agreement for design phase and special services.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. The resolution 1535 authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement between the village and Crawford Murphy and Tilly Inc. for the engineering services at the Lansing Municipal Airport project IGQ-5243, rehabilitate runway 927, agreement for design phase and special services. Do the trustees have any questions or discussions on this? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Valencia.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Aye. Trustee Abasi.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Thank you. I'd like to turn it over to Tom to review our monthly report for airport.
Thank you, trustee. On January 1st, the Greater Midwest Rotorcraft Club held their annual meet and greet event. They met in the FBO lobby and had a good turnout and good food. Mayor Hardy stopped by and introduced himself. The weather's too cold for the gyrocopter rides, however, everyone made them enjoy the day. On January 9th, the airport staff met with CMT engineers. The meeting began with discussion of the additional snow removal equipment with the $69,000 remaining funds of the grant. The award letter will be issued to the contractor for snow box attachments before January 12th. The airport actually took delivery of the snow boxes on February 10th. Also discussed was project number IGQ 5199 to replace the Quonset Hunt hangar doors. A coordination meeting will be scheduled with the contractor in February to review the revised shop drawings. Airport support staff met with representatives of the Lansing Junior Women's Club regarding logistics of the airport and future events. They asked many good questions about the airport property and hangar spaces, maintenance issues. On January 16th, Superior Chimney Company technicians were at the airport to clean and inspect the fireplace in the FBO lobby. They were able to clean it and provide a detailed inspection report. Airport maintenance staff will be able to make the necessary repairs. On January 21st, Metro Petroleum Company inspected the fuel tanks as part of their annual review. They will provide a full inspection report to the airport maintenance staff. We did pass everything with flying colors. And on January 27th, the operating software for the fuel pump stopped working. With the assistance from Daniel Doan and the IT department, members of the airport maintenance staff were able to pinpoint the problem. The part was installed and the fuel line was back in operation. Thanks again to Daniel and the IT department for all your help. That's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to fire and economic development. Trustee Abbasi.
Thank you, Mayor. No items for consideration. We'll just have our monthly reports. Chief Coinga.
Thank you, Trustee Abbasi. Just quickly, January 2026 saw 484 incidents answered or responded to by the fire department. Of that 484, 322 were of medical nature. So that's basically 70% of all our call volume was EMS. Of those calls, probably our biggest driver was just general illness, 254. And then traumatic injury was number 2 with 62 calls for some sort of traumatic injury in the month. Station 31 is kind of long-standing tradition, is the busiest station, outpacing our Station 29 to the south by a 2-to-1 ratio. Training-wise, again, we're at the start of the new year, we kind of do some back to basics, started with our SCBA drills. SCBA is just basically our the packs we wear on our back that are really critical to survival in a fire environment. So we want to make sure everybody's really good and competent with those. And we also did annual required fit testing for every member. We also, part of that training is our members have to don, which is basically another word for put on their SCBA and face pieces within a timed amount. So we make sure that everybody can meet that time to bring a speedier response. Cold weather usually brings a response in carbon monoxide and natural gas emergencies. And again, that was one of our focal points of our training program this month, reviewing the use of our meters and monitors that we carry on our vehicles. Just quickly to fire prevention and fire education. Again, we conducted 81 fire inspections. 5 of those were for new businesses. Also, we're kind of proud to get this out there that our personnel completed the final lesson of the NFPA's Learn Not to Burn program at Nathan Hale Elementary School. This has been the 4th year we've done this program with them. So it's a partnership that we've really grown in the last couple of years, and we love participating with Nathan Hale in this program. And then finally, we had members attend the MLK event at Memorial Junior High School. In addition, it was just to the members of the general public, we offer blood pressure and glucose screenings at the Village Hall once a month. And that runs from 1:30 to 2:30 on the second Friday of every month. That is all I have, Chris.
Thank you. Administrator Podgorski, can you give us our economic development monthly update?
Thank you, trustee. Number of items that village staff consultants are working on. Probably most notably, property at 167 and 70 Chicago Avenue. long underutilized and interest in industrial use at that site, working the potential new user, working with the owner on getting the site cleaned up and getting that to the planning and zoning board for a special use in the next couple of months. We're continuing to work with Napleton Kia on the redevelopment agreement for their new dealership. That should be forthcoming fairly soon. And we're also working with the county land bank development authority on a property that they've acquired through their own abandonment procedures at 2315 170th Street. And this is more commonly known as One River Plaza. It's kind of tucked away back there behind where the Dollar General was, and where Mingles is at. It's a separate building, a little bit further west and a little south. So the Cook County Land Bank Development Authority, actually in the village at one time, we were both pursuing it. The Land Bank Development Authority asked for the village to essentially allow them to acquire it on their own. We were working with the land bank at the time on acquiring former Lansing Hotel on Thornton Lansing Road, which we just approved a purchase and sale agreement on. So we agreed essentially to let the land bank acquire the property. They have. They are letting us show it, and there is a local restaurant that's kicking the tires on it. I don't think the building is as bad as we thought it was going to be, so it'll be interesting working with the land bank on properties that they acquire and that they're trying to get back on tax rolls themselves. So that and a number of other things, and happy to talk to the trustees offline about a lot of these items that typically belong in executive session. That's all for tonight.
Thank you, Administrator Mayor. No further items from my board.
Thank you, trustee. Moving on to Police and Public Works. Trustee Abbasi, the trustees on the list.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one item for consideration. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 26-005, authorizing a loan agreement for the public water supply loan program for lead water service line replacements.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance number 26-005, authorizing a loan agreement for the public water supply loan program for lead water service line replacement. Are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? Now, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Meredith.
Aye.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. Trustee Valencia.
Aye. Thank you. Turn things over. Chief Phillips, give us our police department's monthly report.
Thank you, trustee. During January, the officers responded to 3,814 calls for service. Busy month, even though it was extremely cold out there. Training continues to be one of our focuses. Some of the highlighted ones are we did some ground fighting, death investigation, A-RIDE, which is drug driving detection, and some more DUI refreshers, which is always great to have our officers out there enforcing the drug driving. We definitely had a big crackdown during the Super Bowl, so we appreciate all of our citizens helping out with that. We had over 700 traffic stops, 181 community policing events, 1,000 premise checks. We had 77 arrests for the month and collected $18,000 in admin tow fees. A couple other highlighted areas with the retirement of Lieutenant Greg Schoon, LPD, had 2 promotions in January. After 20 years of service, Sergeant Joe Familia was promoted to lieutenant. Joe spent his time in patrol, investigations, DEA task force, and most recently has been a sergeant in investigations. He is well prepared to move into his new leadership role. Denny Murren was promoted to sergeant after just 8 years on the job. He spent the last 5 in investigations and was an anchor on the Major Crimes Task Force. LPD hired another lateral officer, Tariq Abu Roman came to us from South Holland. He has 7 years of experience, and as a matter of fact, today was his last day of training, and after 1 month, he is out on his own patrolling in Lansing. So we're really taking advantage of the laterals, as we highlighted earlier tonight. Lieutenant Steve Winkler graduated from Northwestern School of Police Staff and Command in January. This prestigious 10-week course helps to prepare the next generation of leaders with an intense course load, including budgeting, mentoring, planning, succession training, and more. Finally, I had the opportunity to join the mayor with Coffee with the Mayor. This was a well-attended event that gave our citizens an opportunity to share their concerns and praises with the mayor. It's events like this that show the village's commitment to being there for our residents. And again, Mayor, great event. Congratulations with that. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you, Trustee.
Thank you, Chief, and please pass our congratulations to Lieutenant Amelia and Sergeant Murray. Excellent. I'm turning it over to Supervisor O'Neill for a report from our Public Works Department.
Thank you, Trustee. The Department of Public Works has developed 12 key master maps. These maps will be aligned with our village-owned GIS mapping system. The maps that we've currently developed will be used for centralizing asset data, provide service history, and support inspection and record-keeping processes. The maps that are coming online will be shared with our crew leaders and supervisors to improve coordination of efforts, efficiency, and data-driven decision-making. A couple of the maps in which we have coming online are with our water department. We've targeted 400 valves that we now have online that are going to be shared with our crew leaders. Fire hydrants, thanks to our fire department, we have 1,436 units that we're working as far as on our maps that will be partnering with the fire department on regular maintenance throughout the village. Detention ponds, we've identified 26 locations which we'll be working in tandem with our line cutting service as far as to make sure these areas are kept up. In the streets department, we've identified again an additional 73 locations which are contract service that is provided by 2 different service providers for line care. Our inspection process will be utilized as far as in tandem with these GIS maps. The last and final item, 11 known locations for dumping. For some reason, people come to the village of Lansing and they think they can just dump trash as far as throughout our village. We target those specific locations where our goal in public works is to identify, inspect, and keep up these areas and work with our law enforcement department in order to identify these situations and tackle them as far as from that point. That's all I have for today. Thank you, Trustee.
Thank you. I appreciate your efforts to modernize our department and get on board with the data-driven GIS tracking, so I appreciate that, Supervisor. Mayor, that's all for tonight.
Thank you, Trustee. We're going to move on to Building, IT, L&N, and Marketing. Trustee Lamont.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 items for this meeting. First, I want to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 26-006, an ordinance of the Village of Lansing, Cook County, Illinois, amending section 56-289 North of the Lansing Code of Ordinances regarding lot size standards for the automobile sales uses.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance number 26-006, amending section 56-289N of the Lansing Code of Ordinances regarding lot size standards for automobile sales usage. Are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Delamas. Excuse me, I apologize. Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Smith. And Trustee Valencia.
The second item, make a motion to adopt ordinance number 26-007, an ordinance of the Village of Lansing, Cook County, Illinois, authorizing and approving the declaration and sale of disposal of surplus property owned by the village.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on ordinance 26-007, authorizing and approving the declaration and sale or disposal of surplus properties owned by the village. Are there any questions or discussions by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson.
Aye.
Trustee Abbasi.
Aye.
Trustee Smith.
Aye.
Trustee Valencia.
Now we turn to our monthly report, first starting from our building commissioners.
Thank you, Trustee Lamont. The building department issued 120 permits reflecting $1,636,362.40 invested back into our community. Our inspectors have performed 142 home inspections and 106 rental inspections this month. Our code enforcement officers issued 141 violation notices. These notices do not reflect the numerous conversations with our residents, either by phone or in person, to resolve issues and avoid notices being written. We have several new businesses in town. Lula's Floral and Gifts is located at 3330 Ridge Road. It's a floral boutique. Affordable Auto Care LLC, located at 2424 176th Street. This is an auto shop. It's an existing business with the new owner. Forza Auto Car Audio is at 17809 Torrance Avenue. They install stereos, alarm systems, remote starters, rims and tints. Amazing Lloyd Transportation is located at 3510 170th Street. This is transportation for people with medical conditions. This is a home business. Cork and Oak is located at 18155 Roy Street. This is a restaurant and bar. That's all I have, Trustee Lamont. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Next, we turn to our IT Director.
Thank you so much, Trustee Lamont. Next, we are going to just continually discuss, as we've been working with our OpenGov platform. We've been making a lot of headway with it, and we're pretty excited by some of the changes we've already been able to see, especially even our permitting and licensing, our business licensing program. We've been seeing a really high uptake of people getting the information, paying online, and not having to physically come into the building, which has been great, not just for staff, but also for them, because they don't have to come in the cold and so forth. So we've had really positive feedback from them in response to that. Also, in this coming spring, we are moving really fast and furious with our project manager at JMA in reference to the Public Works facility and also the EOC. Basically, at this point, we've been doing a lot of walkthroughs, and at this point, I'm ordering a lot of the hardware necessary for the building, including servers, switches, racks, etc. So, going to basically be living there, I think, for the next couple months. So, but it's going to be great because as we're meeting with some of our existing vendors as well, they're getting to walk through the building and seeing how it's coming along. So we're excited because we'll be working with Quality Alarm, as well as our 22 vets will be installing the necessary camera as well as card access system throughout the facility. I also will be grab this. So we are, I've been talking a lot about the board packet and diligent software. So we have, I actually was almost late getting here because I was finishing up a video and I didn't realize what time it was. So, but you guys should all have that in your inbox now. It's basically a training video on how you'll be getting a welcome to Diligent email. And once you receive the email, you'll basically click on it and the video will walk you through it. So basically I set up a fake username, and so you could actually see on the screen how it will appear and then what you will see when you go into the software itself. So it's a fairly short video. I try to make it pretty quick, so I believe it's 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And so, and then you'll all be receiving your iPads in some point, probably either late this week or early next week. And they'll have a keyboard attached to them, and you'll be able to log in from the iPad, check your email, whatnot, get your information, and basically be able to navigate the software. We've been using it on the back end as staff to prepare for the board meetings. We haven't actually sent it out to you guys yet, but you'll start receiving all the activation emails starting tomorrow, and then you'll be able to get to it from any device. It doesn't have to just be simply your iPad. So any web browser you'll be able to utilize. But this way, you'll have something you can bring here to the meeting if you want, rather than carrying on, 15 trees of attachments and so forth. So you'll be able to just take whatever you need and then move forward. I believe it'll expedite a lot of information as our village administrator gets it out to you ahead of time. So those are the key things that I really wanted to really mention. Also, within Main Star program, we've actually started Main Star as well as Crime Free. We've actually started getting the information to bring into OpenGov. So when you type in an address, you'll be able to see the full historical archive of what has happened at that address. That's necessary for your department. So it's gonna be for our staff to be able to look through. So we've started that process with both companies, and so I'm hoping I can, we'll be able to work with this with our building department. Probably early next week, we're gonna set up a meeting and kind of showcase it and seeing how, making sure everything is good with that. I believe that is pretty much it for my report. Can I just go straight into the LNN as well? So for LNN, they had the Boy Scout troops visited the Lansing Airport, as you were aware of from our last meeting, I believe. And they were there to capture that. And we also did a Fox Point recap for 2025. Just highlighted all the different acts that were there. It was a really great year for us, and thanks to Ken and his staff for all the work they do there, as well as we had a MLK Unity Brunch that the HRC was able to put together at Memorial Junior High, so we were able to as well capture that and do highlights from that brunch as well. We had the coffee with the mayor, which was a great turnout, as we mentioned before. They were able to do and get a lot of interviews and hear from key staff, but also the residents where it was great for them to feel really connected with our elected officials. As well as Robin Kelly's mobile office came to the Municipal Center, and we recently just finished our yearly planning as we plan for the spring and summer season, and so we just finished all of that, so we're able to kind of put together some clear goals for the next coming year. So with that, thank you so much.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee. Moving on to youth center and venues operations, trustee Robinson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one item on the agenda tonight. I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 1536, authorizing and approving proposals from Mad Bomber Fireworks Productions and Chicago Drone Light Shows related to a fireworks and light show display for Lansing's America 250 celebration.
We have a motion and a second on resolution 1536, authorizing and approving proposals from Mad Bomber Fireworks Productions and Chicago Drone Light Shows related to the fireworks and light show display for Lansing's America 250 celebration. Are there any questions or discussion by the trustees? If not, clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Robinson? Aye. Trustee Lamont?
Aye.
Trustee Abasi?
Aye.
Trustee Smith? Aye. Trustee Valencia?
Aye.
Okay. Now I'll pass it to Youth Center Director Anisha.
All right, thank you, trustee. Happy New Year, everyone. So for the month of January, our school activities resumed after Christmas break. Our youth center staff attended both boys and girls basketball games at Memorial, making sure that we continue lifting up our student athletes that are also members of the youth center. In honor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s life and legacy, Patty Leach Youth Center staff, along with organizations worldwide, will be joining Youth Service America's Realize the Dream movement. Realize the Dream is a service learning initiative spearheaded by Martin Luther King's children themselves that promotes the spirit of volunteering by encouraging individuals to support people and causes in need, strengthening communities through acts of love, compassion, and goodwill. Partnering with the Realize the Dream provides access to valuable resources, opportunities to expand our impact within the community, and exposure to potentially new resources and supporters of the Youth Center. The goal is to engage youth in multiple service projects and help them increase their service hours while also expanding their network and leadership skills. Our second event for the month, Dow House Girls Club, had the opportunity to bring a group of girls together for a night of fellowship and encouragement. The event was held at Beggar's Pizza, where the girls were treated to dinner and had the pleasure of meeting with Emma Phillips, who is the daughter of our police chief, Al Phillips. She is a professional soccer player. Emma spoke to 14 youth center girls ranging from the age of 11 to 16, sharing her journey and experiences as a woman in sports. The event also included journaling activities, girl talk, and photos. Each girl left with a gift bag and hopefully a little extra inspiration. Special thanks to Meredith from the Lansing Journal for covering our story, and also to our trustee Amy and her family for stopping by. As far as our professional development, we participated in Youth Service America's virtual learning workshop for the month, and we also attended a informational session with After School HQ, which is a new database that hopefully the youth center will be converting to, as far as tracking our attendance and monitoring our membership program. So daily attendance, unfortunately, is still at 0, but our membership is at 60. And that is all I have, trustee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you again for inviting Haley and myself. And Mr. Reynolds for venues.
Well, I just know it had to be great for that Dollhouse Girls Club to talk to somebody interesting from the Phillips family. That had to be, what a fresh change. I digress. The venue operations report, Fox Point. Applications for private rental events at Fox Point are being reviewed and blended in to the public portion of the schedule where possible and when we can staff them. All existing agreements with service vendors for all of our contractual work at the venue are under review for this season. The full public event schedule for 2026 is complete. Most of the events are online at foxpoint.org, so you can see almost all of the public events and concerts for the season. There are a handful, a couple that are left. The details have to be finalized before those get published online. And then one portion of our two-phased America 250 celebration. You just heard about the fireworks a moment ago. That's part 2. During the day, there will be a kind of a Great American Barbecue type event at Fox Point that will be for families, and that will take place again at Fox Point, most likely from 12 to 4 on the 27th of June. Lansing Sports Complex, plans are being made to clean and reorganize the second floor of the concession building. That will be used for more administrative work and meeting space. It's become kind of a place to just dump stuff over the years, and we're working on cleaning that up and making that area, which is climate controlled, more functional for when we host tournaments or when any of the groups need to have meetings, especially during the season. And then we have quotes for replacement of all the doors and windows at the various buildings of the sports complex. They have not been touched in numerous years. We are prioritizing that list. I don't expect us to be able to do all of those, but there are some, mainly the concession stand and some bathroom doors, that are going to be presented, trustees, to you in the upcoming months for consideration, that they would make these the access to these buildings much easier and also safer, especially our concession stand. And then finally, the historic Ford hangar. The discussion and the planning are continuing for the 100th anniversary celebration. I said last month that the September 11th date is tentative, that it is not going to be the 11th, the 18th and 19th of September will be the 2 dates that we will have events commemorating the Ford hangar, and there'll be a lot more details coming out on that in the very near future. But again, September 18th and 19th are finalized. And then the last thing, applications for rental events at the Ford hangar are also being reviewed. The applicants are being contacted to coordinate their information, set up site visits when the weather breaks. We had one prospective bride that wanted to tour there in January when it was 11 degrees. It was a very quick tour. That is all, Trustee Robinson. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to the public comment portion of our meeting. Public comment is for anyone to come up to the mic, spend 5 minutes. Please give me us your name and your address. Do we have anybody for public comment tonight? Yes, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mario Sandoval. I live at 17829 Paxton Avenue, which is west of Torrance Avenue, north of Thornton Lansing Road. It's basically that area is like a little island, unincorporated 50%. 50% of us are incorporated. We incorporated around 2000. Cal City Plumbing brought in the water and sewers. About 5 families participated in the incorporation of that to bring water and sewers. Unfortunately, what happened since then, some neighbors have hooked onto the water and sewers and they're not paying city taxes. And so I see that as an issue. Why did just a group of families participate in bringing the water and sewers and others are actually benefiting by this project in the year 2000? It's been quite a bit since they've been using these services. And I'm asking if there's any way that we can find out who in that block from 178 to 177 to 178 Paxton Avenue is using and benefiting by these city services without paying to the town of Lansing. Now the street itself is unincorporated. It's a heavily traveled street. Metropolitan Steel uses it, and there's another steel company north of us, but it's still a residential area. And the traffic is excessive, the speed is excessive, and I'm asking the town leaders here, is there any way to reduce the speed limit, stop semis from crossing our street? It's residential. And also, is there a possibility to put speed bumps on the street? It's probably a project that has to be worked out with unincorporated section. Like I said, there's only like 5 families that brought in the water and sewers. But some people are hooked onto the water and sewer without paying to the Lansing residents or the community as a whole. The other thing I would like to see is more participation by the police department to oversee the speeding on the street. It's excessive. We put up with it for over 20-something years. I've been a resident for Lansing since around 1998, around there. So I've been there quite a bit. I built my house there. I used to be a union carpenter, retired as a union electrician. So, you know, I love Lansing. It's a beautiful community. And it's growing, and that's excessive growth, I believe, has hit our area, especially our block, which is kind of like I said, like a little island that's outside the Lansing almost. So a little bit more of you know, police participation of going up and down our street would be appreciated. And let's see what we can do about the people that are sponging off city services for free.
Well, sir, like I said, we'll definitely look into the water and sewer connection. Again, I'm not.
You probably have never heard of this.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that, but we'll definitely put our eyes on it.
Yeah, it was a small community of 5 people. Mike Giglio, who wants to go sit home and brought the water and sewer.
Right there. And then another thing too is, again, Chief, I'm not exactly sure if that's a village road, but what we can do is Al Phelps, our chief of police, maybe you guys can kind of connect and just see if that's a residential road, and if we can keep, you know, trucks not going down residential roads. I don't know. Well, like I said, maybe.
Yeah, it's something to talk about and bring up in the next meeting, perhaps.
But like I said, if it's a county road, unfortunately, you know, it's kind of out of the village, you know. Yeah. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll look into it though.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any public comment? If not, I'm going to close the public comment portion of the meeting. Do the trustees have anything for old business? Do the trustees have anything for new business? Now I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Boston.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Smith. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Lancy.
We'll just take a 2-minute pause here. Whole meeting, February 17th, 2026. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Robinson. Aye. Trustee Boston.
Aye. Here.
Trustee Smith. Here. Trustee Lamont.
Here.
Trustee Lancy.
Thank you. Trustees have before them the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting from February 3rd, 2026. Are there any questions or discussions on the minutes? If not, I need a motion to accept.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Trustee Rossi.
Aye.
Trustee Robinson. Trustee Smith. Aye. Trustee Lamont.
Aye.
Trustee Lancy.
Under the committee of the whole, I have nothing under the mayor's report. We're going to move on to the village administrator's report. Mr. Podgorski.
Thank you, Mayor. One item here this evening, I'd like to welcome George Gusti from Johnny K's. Come out and join us over here by the microphone. So George, prior owner and current owner of Johnny K's Restaurant at 17816 Torrance Avenue. Recently reopened, went through some legal issues with a former partner, and George has since put a lot of his own money back into the business. If you haven't been into Johnny K's recently, I would absolutely recommend that you do. There's a really great 1950s style theme on the inside, and well, then there's a reason for that. I don't want to steal George's thunder, but he's had some experience doing that before. So in the past, Johnny K's always had a beer and wine liquor license. When the business shut down, the liquor license dissolved. So now that the business is back up and running and it's been completely remodeled, as you can see, George would like to request that the beer and wine license be reinstated. So I really would like to just, more than anything else, just introduce George Gusti to the village board. And George, tell us about your travels at Johnny K's. Tell us about the remodel and everything that you're doing there.
About 3 years ago, I bought the property with a partner at Johnny K's. So I spent about 6 months at that time to study renovating Johnny K's.
Excuse me, George, could you get a little closer to the mic?
Due to some legal issues, the project stopped for at least a year. And all of a sudden, they reopened the case for me, and I took control of the restaurant. So when I got to the restaurant, most of the staff, they were not there, so I have to reinvent the wheel to bring the restaurant back to the style of 1960s. That's the style I decided to do, because during that time I was doing Eddie Beck's downtown, and I decided that this style in the name is the best, and that's what I came up with that concept of Johnny K's. Now, after 6 months of work, I put a lot of work myself in the building, and we got the chance to reopen the gate for the restaurant. So the restaurant right now is doing very good for now, but we need to increase the revenue of the business to the point that we need the legal license, because we want to apply for the gaming license somehow. They had the gaming license before, and that's what we're trying to get now.
George, you want to tell us where the plan is? I know in the past, the gaming machines, when you had them, were near the east wall,
Yes.
which is near where your patio is at.
Yes, the gaming before was at the end of the, as you enter in at the end of the wall. So I removed all of this because I like to have the more space inside there, and nothing to do technically the gaming with the restaurant as a gaming license. And I'm going to move it outside into the area that is the patio. The patio is too big. It's about 20 feet long. So I'm taking about 6 to 8 feet from the patio and moving the facade outside and bring it to a stainless steel face with the same style like it is right now. I have some architecture drawings, I don't know if we have it, a copy of the plan, and I'll explain what I'm doing there now. Yeah, this is the new addition. See the top view, that's the one I'm approaching to do right now, the floor plan, which is coming out. The same elevation that is there, but we're gonna bring it out with the stainless steel, so we can tie it back to 1960. The style has to go back the same in and out, so we're trying to achieve both. Now, and the patio will still remain there. We're gonna renovate the patio too, as we go along, the same time as we're gonna do the front elevations. So, and also I wanna bring the, in the sides too, I want to tie the sides the same way as the front. So this is going to be new additions. They are there, but they look like wood. It doesn't look correct. So these shaded sides, they will be all in stainless steel paneling to tie up the building together. So, and then we'll probably put the logos in both sides again, and then bring the giant case to put together as one unit instead of like posting photographs into the. We want the inside and the outside to represent giant case.
George, I've been there, the place is beautiful, you did really a nice job on the remodel. And I will say that I've eaten there several times, the food is delicious too. So, again, I think the community is very happy that Johnny Case is back up and running. I know my employees at the Iron Company are very happy, because that was always one of the favorite places. I know that they're back there, so, yeah, I appreciate it being back in the community.
We like to thank the community too, because the community is the one that pushed us in to reopen that place, because other options were on the table at the time. But people came into the restaurant as I was there, and they were pushing for it to bring back the old memories. I know I'm not long, I haven't been long here on the 3 years, but I know a lot of people still coming in, and they don't want to lose their Johnny Case, because the people have memories tied before and then now as we go along. And I think the restaurant belongs there, needs to stay there.
Well, the menu is large, and I think it deserves, hopefully with the trustees' approval, a beer and wine license. It's always nice to have a beer with a nice cheeseburger or another, I think you got even ribs back on the menu too.
Back, the ribs are back, we added filet mignon, we added salmon, fresh salmon comes in the menu. So there is a variety that accommodate everybody, any taste. And we try to get more fresh as possible. Cook the day and serve the day. That's the goal. And we're getting there almost.
We have any questions from our board members? Good. If not, well, sorry, trustee Smith.
Your main room, is that for the spots? Or?
The game room will be in where the floor plan shows there, that's the front. So it's gonna push out about 6 to 8 feet. We're gonna build this part of it. So you're gonna come out from the restaurant, the same exits.
Okay.
You're coming out to the doors, and then you enter into the game. You should be on the line of the existing that shows. So this is the area that you're coming out from the end of the building when you're entering. The machines were there, but in the other side of this wall. It was in the other side. Now they're going to be in this side, which going to still look the same, but it's going to look a lot more elegant. Maybe have this paneling exterior so you can tie up the building. That's the only thing that is missing for me to put it together.
Okay.
It'll be a little bit on the outside of the restaurant.
Yes.
I mean,
A little bit, I'd say about 8-7 feet, but it's still under, it's under the canopy. Yeah. Still, it's about a foot out, but we're gonna tie it nicely there when we get to the sections of elevations, the drawings.
So I'm just trying to work, is this just a rule or create a new one?
It's, it would effectively be, even though it's really a reinstatement of a license that previously existed, once a license is
is not renewed, it's dissolved, so a new license has to be created. Every time a license is dissolved, then the license is no longer available and the board has to recreate it.
Okay.
So if the board members are okay with this, we'll have an ordinance contemplating action on the board meeting in 2 weeks. And George, thanks for being here tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, George.
Okay, nothing else on the agenda, but I do owe Trustee Valencia an apology. In my haste of putting the agendas together on Friday, it appears that the airport and insurance committee report was omitted from tonight's agenda. And
Apology accepted.
it was not intentional. So it's up to the mayor if he'd like to call on Trustee Valencia later to just check in and see if there's anything else he wants to chat about, but Leo, my apologies.
Mayor, I have nothing else. Got you. Thank you, sir. Moving on to the village attorney's report, Mr. Walsh.
Yes, on the agenda is an item you'll see identified as a comment annexation agreement for 1983 Thornton Lansing Road. You may recall early December there was a public hearing. Representatives from ComEd were here to present their plans for the site. It's a substation. The agreement in front of you, this is a statutorily recognized agreement that allows a party, a landowner, to negotiate with the village in certain terms by which they'll enter into the village jurisdiction. In particular, what you'll see is a lot of this agreement deals with land entitlements, special uses, variances, things of that nature. Everything laid out here is in furtherance of the substation plan that was made during the presentation at the public hearing. It creates procedures by which more detailed construction plans will be submitted, maintenance issues, and just overall code compliance. This action, there's also a construction schedule. This action requires a 2/3 vote to pass the item, so it will require a minimum of 5 votes. Okay. If there's any more detailed questions about ComEd's plans, representatives are present tonight to answer any questions.
Attorney Walsh, this is nothing different than what you represented.
So the document, there's been some updates, but it's more legalese. The fundamental proposal of what the project is has not changed.
All right, is that it done, trust, the village attorney?
Again, unless members of the board have any questions.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on to finance and HRC.
Mayor, just so we let ComEd know, is that, so we're going to put this on the agenda.
Oh,
next
yes,
agenda.
yes. We'll put it on the next board for great.
Thank you.
You got it. Thank you.
If needed.
Then I don't know, the comment, did you guys want to have any, did you guys want to say anything or? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you, Attorney Walsh. We're going to move on to finance and HRC, Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. I have Director handed you to present the third quarter fiscal year 26 financial review.
Mayor Harvey?
Yes, sir.
Mayor Harvey, Clerk Brady Perovich, and Mr. Predgorski, Attorney Welch, and trustees. I will try. As I presented the board during the first and second quarter, we've been on track really since August for a pretty solid year. The biggest issue, as I've told the board in prior presentations, is that Cook County and the delay of about $11 million of property tax receipts. To give you an idea of what that is made up of, it's about it's about 4.3 million of general fund money, about 3.5 million of pension money, split about 2/3 to police and about 1/3 to fire, and about $4 million of tip money. Had we received those monies, we would have been at like 63%, which sounds, again, like we're off significantly, but keep in mind every year when we do our budget, I think the board knows, we start with our revenues, and as the board knows, we look at what we really think realistic revenues are going to be, and then we try to determine how much in spending, because as the board knows, we have a lot of projects, we have a lot of capital projects, equipment, and it's really all tied to our revenue. So this $11 million, to go to say the least, is a significant impact to a town like Lansing, because as the board knows, it's about 15% of our budget. So we should have really received that money last September and October. It's particularly a problem for our public library. I think I've heard that there's been some discussion about a class action suit against Cook County, because this is not the first year that this has happened. It happened in 2024. This is not unusual, unfortunately. Anyway, I wanted to point that out because if you look at the rest of our revenues, they really are up, and you can see it in your packets, 85, 90%. The two big, I guess, rock stars in our budget, as the board knows, are sales taxes and income taxes. Sales taxes are up about $600,000 over a year ago when we bumped that number up in last year's budget. So it continues to be strong, as evidenced by a lot of what's going on at Torrance and hopefully at the landings with the new Kia dealership. We haven't even received a lot of those revenues yet. So I don't see any, again, you never know with the economy, but we, as I've said to the board in previous meetings, we are really a well-diversified community from a revenue standpoint. The other big ticket item that really has been a big provider of cash flow the last 3 years is income tax. So that's up about $300,000 from 2 years ago and about $200,000 over last year. I know Trustee Smith has asked me in the past about the casino tax, and I know that you'll see this kind of blipped up from a year ago. We only received about 2 months, and you'll see this $107,000, I think, has something to do with the Reynolds family betting on the Brewers Cubs series in the fall. I'm not sure if that is going to be repeatable. We'll see. We still got to get past the Brewers. Anyway, the utility tax is something that I think is seasonal, and again, if the board remembers, that's a combination of ComEd paying us a utility portion of everyone's electric bill, and then NICOR. So that's pretty seasonal, even though that's down a little bit. And I know there's numbers in Lansing that are really bummed out about the Pioneer, but you'll see that that's one of the reasons for this income being off. So again, I know we have better plans for that particular property. Again, one last thing I just want to talk about is Chief Koyenga and I don't want to keep emphasizing GMT, but it really has been a huge benefit to the budget. You'll see the kind of revenue that we've got, almost $1.2 million. Now, we still owe the state of Illinois about $120,000. It just has to do with how they bill us. If the board recalls, GMT is the Medicaid component of how we get reimbursed for our ambulatory trips, and we have to pay the state of Illinois about half of that revenue. So it's all timing, but in any event. And again, you'll see I kind of highlighted some of the bigger ticket items like our towing. I know Chief Phillips talked about the towing fees. Again, I think that's something we try to emphasize in the budget. But we also had we're seeing a little fall off in interest income as rates have come down a bit. So all in all, we're on the revenue side, if we were to adjust it for our property taxes, we would be right in line with the budget. On the spending side, we don't have to spend a lot of time on this. It's about $2 million under budgeted spending. All of our department heads, you can see in the information I've given you, are at 60%, 66%. The boards and commissions number, it's a small part of the budget, but that's because of testing from the fire and police, and that has to do with timing. So this number won't really change much as we get to the end of the year, so we'll be right in line with budget. Director Savage's number, you'll see is about 63%. Everyone is right in line. Again, there's some timing on the police and fire because of pensions. And again, the timing, you'll see the number from last year was 2.8 million. It's only about 200,000. That's because that money that comes in from the levy gets recorded both as a revenue and an expense. And then lastly, we're gonna, as part of this year's budget, we're gonna look hard at what we're gonna do with water rates because of the, as the board knows, we've had a lot of main breaks in our infrastructure. So we'll come back. I'll come back to you in future meetings with what we need to look at as far as a rate adjustment. I think we really are committed to going to monthly billing, which will make it easier for residents to put it in their budget, their household budgets, as opposed to a quarterly bill. And it's just going to take us, we're going to spend some time over the next couple of months before we start next year's budget. City of Hammond continues to be the best place for us to get water, although I anticipate the contract that we have with them expires on May 1st. So they kind of tie their rates to about 85 to 88% of City of Chicago. So it's always going to be lower than getting it somewhere else. On the, again, you'll see the issue that we have with water and sewer is that we have about 7.2 million of expenditures and about $7 million of revenue. A lot of that is because we're not sending the water to South Holland like we were, so there's some changes in the budget that just have to do with some of our operational changes. On the other funds, just real quick, the Lansing Airport is $229,000 against a budget of $450,000. I don't expect us to transfer much more money to that entity. And on the Fox Point summary, the net cost for the year was around $339,000 against a budget figure of $450,000. So all in all, the village is right in line with the budget. And I know Mayor Hardy always gives me about being the numbers guy, but all of this is important, seriously, for next year's budget because of all the things that the village has wanted to do on capital, spending money on vehicles. Challenge is always to get, what do we get done and how quickly can we do it with guys like Jeff. So, and I don't know if you have any questions, but you guys can see the numbers in the packet that I handed out. So. Okay, I think that'll cover it.
Finance Director Hannigan, I wanted to ask one question. We're talking about collections on property taxes. Some of that money starting to come in. I know it comes in waves. We had talked before that some of the tip dollars were maybe in the last wave. Has some of that money started to come in yet?
Yes. We just got a chunk of money in today, 1.4 million. We're supposed to get from Cook County. So just 1 minute on how we get money from Cook County. So we get money from Cook County, generally speaking, in 2 waves during the year. After the first payment, which is, as everyone knows, is 55% of your ultimate property tax bill. And we usually get that money in March. This year's bill's not going to be due till April 1st. probably September 1st for the second installment later on in the year. And so when we receive our money, we initially get general fund money, which, as the board might recall, is allocated to operations from fire, police, public works, all the way to the venues. And then we start to receive money in the pension funds, and then we receive the TIF funds. We're receiving the TIF funds now, so these monies are coming in about 6 months behind schedule. But to Dan's question, of that 11 million, when I talk about $11 million, sounds like this awesome number. The general, and it is a big number, but about 4.3 million it is for the general fund. The rest of it is pensions, TIFs, and again, we don't really get a report from Cook County until 30 days after we get the last payments. The library just started receiving their payments last week. Just all, unfortunately, it's all timing with how this new software system, and I think in the long run, I'm hoping it's going to correct itself.
Right, I know you're aware of this. It's one of the reasons I brought the question. I just want to remind the board, when that TIP money comes in, we have a standing agreement with our school districts to return the first 2 years in the extended Ridge Road TIF, to declare that a surplus and return that money back to the county. It's obviously something we talk about all the time, and that's how we've been budgeting and handling expenditures in the Ridge Road TIF accordingly. That's not something that we've done before. I think maybe closed out of the Landing's TIF years ago, so I know we'll be relying on your expertise to help us with that.
Well, the other issue is the West Lansing TIF is going to expire at the end of this year. We'll be working with Matt on that too, because that's going to, we have a number of projects that we've talked to Jeff and Stephen and the Robinson team about getting done in that particular area of the village, just because of the expiration of that TIF. But all of those, it doesn't mean we're going to lose access to the funds. It just means that we've got to do what we can to spend the money in that TIF, and then as long as it's contiguous with other TIFs, we can still have access to that money in other projects throughout the village, in particular things like the public works yard, some of the renovations that we want to do in Station 31, all things that we've talked to the board about in the past. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, trustee. We're going to move on to airport insurance. Trustee Valencia.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing for tonight. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
We're going to move from fire and economic development. We're going to move down to police and public works for trustees Eldermus, trustee Apostle.
Thank you, Mayor. I know we'll be getting back to fire and economic development shortly, but just on the public works and police side, Chief Phillips, you want to discuss with us the retirement of K9 Luna?
Very good. Thank you, trustees. Mayor, thank you for the opportunity tonight. Each year, we try and evaluate all of our expenses to make sure we're being fiscally responsible. And after looking at our K9 program, unfortunately, K9 Luna has not been what we had hoped it would be when it comes to seizures, mainly because the legalization of marijuana in Illinois several years ago. Our original intent was to have the 5-officer TAC unit with the K9 running with them all the time to help with our seizures, getting into cars, doing search warrants, and we're just finding it's not as effective as we really hoped it would be, especially when you look at the expenses. Because of the FSLA, we're required to pay that officer 1 hour of overtime a day, year-round. So that's costing that K9 $23,000 a year in overtime, but we're just not getting that return with it. And unfortunately, our K9 officer, our handler, got into an accident, got hit head on and totaled his car. He is fine, but it's going to cost $50,000 for a new squad car, and then another $25,000 to upfit it to get it ready for the K9. So just looking at this, just trying to be responsible with our money, we feel it's not a good move to keep continuing to pay that fee. So we're going to go ahead and move to retire K9 Luna. With the board's permission, we would like to transfer ownership over to Willie Mason, who is his current handler, and he'll take over all responsibilities for handling, caring for the dog when it comes to food, vet bills, and anything else. So again, just trying to be really responsible with our budget and just not seeing the great benefit, especially since they are focused on drug and money detection. That's their sole purpose. They do not do apprehension, they do not do training. Purpose behind that was years ago we went to a more friendly dog to help with our community policing, trying to change that view of from the public from the German Shepherds, and I think we've done a great job with that. Canine Pixie is still going to be active. She's very much a focal point of our community policing, and she's out there in the community just building that bridge with our citizens and our community and us, and it's really going well with her. She is paying off in the long run. Unfortunately, we feel this time it's our recommendation to retire K9.
Thanks, Chief. One question. When a police department retires a K9 officer, does that, like, the village is no longer liable for any expenses or medical of that K9? Is that how it works in the industry?
Yes, that's correct. And if we remember from Officer Hahn, when he retired his dog about 4 years ago when I came in, he had an injury that was lingering. And the village was ended up being responsible for that next surgery, and we ended up having to pay for that. A little extra money we weren't planning on. So right now, Luna's healthy, no issues. Today is Sunday, Saturday was her last day of work. So she is officially retired, and with the board's permission, we'd like to transfer that ownership to relinquish all responsibilities from the village.
Thanks for that answer. Board, any questions for Chief Phillips?
Just as a matter of note, trustee, it's similar to the surplusing of other assets. There is a formal ordinance that the board has to go through to declare the dog surplus asset, and in this case, it will be transferred to ceremonies.
Chief, we ask you to thank Officer Luna. How do you refer that?
We go with K9.
K9, thank you on our behalf of the tree.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate it, board. Thank you.
We can have something done for the next village board. Thank you. Next time I'd like to bring up for discussion, I'll turn this over to our village engineer, Jeff Pintar. We'll get a couple of items to bring to our attention. Jeff.
Thank you, trustee. Good evening, everyone. The first item that I've got is the 2026 CDBG application. It's our annual Cook County Community Development Block Grant Program. What we're looking for in your board packet, you do have a memo from Stephen Kavinsky, and you also have a sample resolution. Annually, we will pass this resolution requesting the board to authorize the mayor and the clerk to enter into a grant application. This year, we will be applying for the maximum $500,000. Typically, as we've done in the past, we will again, this is to supplement our street resurfacing program. We utilize street funds and also MFT funds. The CDBG is a great supplement to that. Historically, we don't get this every year, but there's been, sometimes we'll get 3-4 years in a row, sometimes we won't get it. Just to remind the board, we did get $300,000 last year in the 2025 application. That money will be spent this year in 26. So the application, we don't have the streets picked out yet. We're going to work with staff. Again, these are for only CDBG eligible areas. So we're going to work with Public Works Department, administrative staff to pick out which streets are going to be good to supplement the programs that we're looking for 27. So again, this is something we do annually, but we do need a resolution on next board meeting's agenda authorizing the mayor and the clerk to enter into that grant application.
Thanks, Jeff. Correct me if I'm wrong, we used to apply for $400,000. Does that go up?
It did go up, yes. The allotment has increased. So we always apply for the maximum amount in hopes that we get it. Historically, I can tell you back in the day, way back in the day when I first started, we would get $70,000 every other year. Our allotments have increased significantly. Kudos to staff and the board. We put in the maximum. We have need. We do have a good amount of eligible areas. And just so you know, we tie that application to ADA transition as well for handicapped individuals, for walkability and bikeability to schools, access to the library. So, the application that we put together, we want to make sure we're choosing streets that really benefit the whole community and getting the community safely to and from all the great amenities that you have in the town.
Thanks, Jeff. Trustees, any questions for Jeff on this CDBG item? Jeff, do you want to talk about the next topic?
Yes. We are moving forward with the Chicago Avenue Road Reconstruction Project. Just for reference, we're talking about the north end of town. So north is to the right of the screen. You can see the sports complex, that's to the north. Our project area is 170th Street, north to the sports complex. We also do have a component of some additional sidewalk that we're going to be constructing on 170th Street, pretty much from where we're at here, police station to down to Chicago Avenue. So that's kind of the project area. It's going to be a full road reconstruction. We came to the board previously and talked about authorization for engineering. These were some of the photos that we used. I can tell you the road hasn't gotten any better since we last discussed this project. It's probably gotten a little worse. So as you can see, the need is there. The road itself, the existing, so we've got this is kind of the existing cross section, this will be the proposed. The existing pavement's 27 feet wide. That's narrower than your typical residential street. Your residential street is 28 feet wide. Think about the use of the industrial road that Chicago Avenue is. Lots of truck traffic, right? Trucks maneuvering in and out of their businesses. And that's why you see, the edges of the road really torn up. There's tire marks outside of the curb area. We've got to fix that. We need this road to accommodate the use, which is the truck traffic on Chicago Avenue. So what we're looking to do, we're looking to widen the road completely from the 27 feet edge to edge to 34 feet edge to edge, so it's a significant amount of widening. We're also going to be, what's a key component, adding a 7-foot wide sidewalk on the east side of the road. Why is that significant? Multiple reasons. Number one, there are no sidewalks up and down. A lot of the users, business owners, have expressed when we worked with them, on their lunch break, they like to take walks. They're walking in the road. The road is obviously in disrepair. There's no safe way to walk. A destination, right? We want the sports complex to be a destination, another driver. The village was fortunate, and we have it again in the memo, we received $400,000 from Cook County to help with the construction of that sidewalk. So what we're gonna do is that sidewalk gap on 170th Street, that will create connectivity from the Pensy Greenway down 170th Street and up to the sports complex. So not only are we gonna create a more walkable environment for the businesses that are on Chicago Avenue, but also connectivity to the sports complex. And again, thanks to our partners at Cook County for that grant as well. That 7-foot sidewalk, 7-foot wide sidewalk will also act as an extra buffer for trucks for maneuverability. We're going to construct that as if it were pavement, so trucks needing to turn into their business that can't stay within the 34 feet, they should be able to. But if they can't, they can utilize that sidewalk. And what we really want to do is avoid getting into the situation that we have now. We want to beautify this area, wide pavement, and keep those grass parkways looking pristine. It's going to create this more inviting environment, not only for the businesses, attract new businesses, but also for the users that are going to be going up to the sports complex as we continue to upgrade that as well. So it's a major undertaking. It's a large road, a lot of traffic. Kudos to Administrator Podgorski and the mayor for reaching out to the business owners. We've had a lot of conversations with the business owners about their needs. We want to make sure that we embark on this big of a project that we are accommodating their needs. So what driveway widths do they need? Where do they need driveways? Where do they not need driveways? How much grass can we create? Really just kind of looking at every angle when we take this on this big of a project. We want to make sure at the end of the day we're accommodating all the businesses, because really that's who it's for. So what we're here today is to get authorization at the next board meeting to authorize to go to bid. What we'll do is advertise then a few days later on and around March 6th, come back and open bids at the end of March and be ready to bring the bid award back here in April for the start of construction, on and around May 1st. That's the timeline. Our hope is to give these contractors the full construction season to get this done. Can we promise that it'll be done by the end of the construction season? It will be tight. It will be weather dependent. If we get a great summer, a dry summer, we can do this. But please note that this is a dead-end road. So what does that mean? We have to accommodate the traffic that's out there now at all times. We can't reroute it somewhere else. So when we go to construct this road, we're gonna have to construct half at a time and allow users to maintain, truck traffic and use to these businesses. You got Landefrost there, they run 3 shifts, they're 24 hours. We need to accommodate the businesses. So the good news is, we've been working on this with the business owners, to understand their needs. So now that we're embarking on, construction, we know what it's gonna take to not, is it gonna impact them? Absolutely, construction's impactful, but we cannot close out any of the driveways. We have to maintain access to all these business owners. So we're hopeful that it'll be one long construction season, but we'll play it by ear as we go.
Do you have any land acquisition that's needed to expand the road?
No, the right of way's there, so we're just gonna utilize more of it. So no, all of the sidewalks, curbing, everything's gonna be within the existing right of way, so no land acquisition is needed. Good question.
Trustees, questions for Engineer Tintar?
Jeff, I noticed Dan and I, we were out there today, and the electric service line is on the east side, where that sidewalk is. Is that gonna, will that be fine where it's at?
It will be. It's good. That is right on the right of way line, so we are avoiding it, but that's gonna stay where it's at.
Okay. So the sidewalk will be to the west of the electric line?
Yes, so because we're using that sidewalk as dual purpose for the truck traffic, you're gonna have your 30-foot wide road, you're gonna have your 1.5 curb and gutter, and then that 7-foot wide sidewalk's gonna be right up against that back of curb. There's gonna be no grass parkway on the east side between the road and the sidewalk itself. That way the trucks can utilize that without running through any kind of grass. So that cross section is gonna be really uptight. That sidewalk's gonna be right at that back of curb on the east side. And most of the widening, it's not gonna widen equally in each direction. The majority of the widening is gonna be on the west side. So it's not just an equal 3.5 feet on each direction. More of the widening is going to the west.
And I appreciate the time that you gave to the business owners, Administrator Podgorski, myself, and staff here. That was important, that we were able to at least, work around it and whatever recommendations, they were, I know they were asking for, some sidewalks, for some crosswalks and stuff like that.
Correct.
I know that we were very accommodating to do some of that for Landefrost and some of the other businesses down there as well.
Correct.
So, Director Henry, will this be covered with TIF funds, the project?
It will be, yes.
Thank you.
Trustee, other questions for Jeff? Jeff, appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you.
Mayor, Administrator, we can have both the items that we will work on the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have no further items for police and public works, Mayor.
Thank you, trustee. We're gonna move on to building, IT, L&M, marketing, trustee Lamont.
One item here, it's a digital sign for Golden Bear on Torrance. They presented before the planning and zoning board meeting last month.
Is Alex Boats is here tonight from Golden Bear? Good representative from Golden Bear here this evening. Okay, so let's do this. If there's, okay, then let's go to, so we have an applicant here that has a special use at 3120 170th. Let's go back to fire and economic development, trustee Abbasi. Order, knowing our planners on our way, but we'll be able to get through this application. And when she gets here, she can either finish this one up, and then she can probably take the Golden Bear application for the electronic pre-report.
So we're gonna go back to fire and economic development.
Let's do that.
So we're gonna go back to fire and economic development, trustee Bossy.
Thank you, Mayor. We're gonna hear a request for a special use for a truck repair facility and a variance request for landscaping requirements. This is for address 3120 170th Street, RVN Development LLC. I believe there's representatives from RVN here. We would invite you forward to the microphone. And Administrator Barbaros, anything you want to add to introduce what is here?
Sure, this is, so Errol Kirsch, this is Errol, the architect for RVN, and you have Jacob with you. Jacob's the owner of RVN, so welcome. This was at the January 28th planning and zoning hearing. As trustee Abbasi said, it's a special use for a truck repair facility at 3120 170th Street, and also variance for the typically required landscaping on the site. So turn the first part of the presentation over to Errol, and then we'll walk through how the planning and zoning meeting was handled.
Okay, thank you. This project, if you will, folks, is a combination of two buildings on one site connected by a link that will service some office area, bathroom facilities, administrative control. Can that site be brought up on the video? Here we go. Thank you. North is up on this sheet, and 170th Street is on the south end going east and west. First point is that there is a driveway on the southeast portion of the property that connects and is used by the pump station on the far corner. We will allow that to be maintained and create an easement that will be worked out, I believe, by the planning department that you work with on moral zoning. And that driveway access to the property will be immediately thereafter at the west end of that driveway. The driveway will come in northward. The two buildings are just directly to the west. All the operating 8 overhead doors face either east or north, so that truck movement on the site will fortunately be, if you will, hidden by the buildings to begin with. We're all aware that there is residential property across on the south side of 170th Street. In fact, unfortunately, the tree topic that did exist on 170th Street were cut down. We actually do not know how that occurred, and we will replace those trees. We will accommodate the requirement in the landscaping ordinance that I think requires 1 tree per 40 feet. We also will incorporate in that front setback, which now is really 50 feet. It was originally shown to you as 30 feet. However, there's an existing ordinance, I believe, requiring 50 feet for that front setback. We will accommodate that. Your current drawing is, as shown, the 50 feet. The west side on a street which we're frankly finding difficulty having information and platted on that. I think it's Merrimack Street, and we've been requested to put on, if you go back to the site plan, on the west side of the parking area adjacent to the two buildings, a grassed area. Per my conversations with the representative from the planning group, we'll extend that northward with one exception we have to consider in those discussions. And that is an existing parking area at the west side of the truck parking, which I can show you is in this location. This is the truck movement into bays of both buildings. This would be the parking area for those vehicles. Approximately 14 of them are at that location. The screening on 170th Street and grass area on the west side are what we're going to comply with. Our request for the variance is to eliminate the landscaping requirement on the east side, which is heavily wooded. It's adjacent to the river at that point. We will plant on the south side, grass on the west side, and then the detention area will be at the far north end. And that existing tree line runs all the way up here on that riverside. You can see that this location and part of it is actually west of that river line. The flood zone or area on this site is east of that point, so it is not a factor on any movement or new paving for the movement of any trucks in this area. As you can see, we buried the truck on the far north end. Purpose of doing so is to screen it from 170th Street, and at the same time, we are in discussions with a amount of use for additional trucks that might be on the east side. That requires pavement on that east side that has to be extended from this existing line. That is a matter that we'll work out with the planner, should she be in agreement with that suggestion. The amount of employees would be approximately 16 on the site. That would include the link area for office and the mechanics, one each in one of the 8 bays that are within the 2 buildings at that location. I think that gives you a general description of what we're trying to do here. One exception, we will be planting 3 trees on the south side of the street to enhance the tree cover on the residential side. Be happy to take any questions or review any topics.
Carol, could you talk a little bit about how many trucks will be on site, hours of operation?
Okay. The hours of operation will be from the morning, approximately at 8 o'clock time. Employees arriving earlier than that, parking on this west. Can we go back to that site plan? Thank you. The west side will have parking for the employees. As I said, the trucks would be in this location. The possibility does exist for parts when a truck is in for repair not to be on site. So therefore, we have to park a truck and wait for that part and then make the repair. This is not intended to be a parking lot. This is intended to service trucks and those type of vehicles in the buildings.
Payroll, as you mentioned, all trucks that are going to be on site are going to be related to the truck repair service that'll be operating. Okay. Could you go back and touch on the hours of operation? You said 8 o'clock?
Yes, I would say employees would be earlier, coming in somewhere around 7:30, somewhere around 8 until approximately 6 p.m.
Until 6.
How many spots are there for semis there on the north, in that parking lot?
I believe we have 14 spaces here, Mr. Mayor.
but majority of the trucks that come in and out of there, they'll have the service done for the day, and then they'll leave. Is that, you said the only time that trucks will be there, they're waiting for a park or something like
Yes.
that, right?
We're aware of your concern for a massive amount of trucks being on the site. That's not the intent. The intent is to service that truck and make room for the next truck coming in that interior bay for service.
Carol, could you also touch on the existing fence and the decorative fence that's planned?
Thank you for bringing that up. We are working on a detail that is to be reviewed and approved first by the planning consultant. And that would be a masonry pier approximately 36 foot on center and a metal fence between that time with metal posts separating the fence line from the 36 foot separation. The decorative fence that I've just described is for the south end of the building. The existing chain link fence will remain, repaired, painted if necessary, and person access might occur in this area here where there is a small parking area that we've not shown that we've been made aware of on the site. So there will be a gate at that point, but truck access will be limited to this point here.
Two things I wanted to touch on. The first item that Errol mentioned, there's a driveway to the east of the ingress egress, and that is utilized by Public Works for the pump station that exists at the northwest corner of Burnham and 170th. So village vehicles routinely, after they service the pump station, will routinely utilize that east-west drive aisle. And so RVM has agreed, and we've requested and agreed that there will be a permanent easement so that the village vehicles can utilize your egress driveway to access the site.
And the fence in the front on the south end, the decorative one, will be recessed at that point to occur just northward of that driveway. And the entry, then gates to the site by the trucks or employees would be recessed to that northward line of the existing driveway to the pump station.
Errol, one last thing, could you also touch on approvals from Water Reclamation District and Cook County Highway Department?
Yes, to our knowledge, we have submitted a letter that there isn't any planned either alteration, new construction, or repair project within this area. We also submitted to MWRD, which will have to finally approve the detention area, and that's a separate requirement for a permit. Pardon me. And they are aware of the project, gave us some preliminary feedback on its size and content.
Okay, I would just recap the trustees have before them minutes from the planning and zoning hearing. Planning and zoning board recommended this special use to the village board. Many of the things that they're all talking about here tonight. First of all, the truck parking is limited to the designated parking spaces on the north. Errol, I know you mentioned that you may be considering paving some areas on the east side. As the hearing existed on the 28th, right now the condition of the approval was that parking is limited to the designated spaces in the black or the gray there on the north. It's also conditioned upon staff review of the decorative fencing, finalization of the access easement that we just discussed to the village's pump station, As you mentioned, outdoor storage of parts and materials, final engineering, along with water reclamation district and Cook County Highway if necessary. And as Errol mentioned earlier, site plan adjustments to meet the required 50-foot planted building setback. The landscaping variance was also recommended, with the exception of the westernmost little piece of turf there that'll run from 170th north to where you see it on the
Earl, thanks for your presentation. One question I had, RBN Enterprises, so I understand this facility will be a repair facility. Is repair being done to vehicles owned and operated by RBN, or is this an open shop for any trucking operations going to be repaired at the facility of the business owner?
I'd like to refer that question to the owner. Can you respond to that, if you would, please, Jacob? This is Jacob.
I know Jacob, welcome.
Owner.
Can you recap the question, or?
Please.
No, yeah, I answered my question. So yeah, it's majority it will be our own equipment, but we will be open for public if they have their needs.
Where are you based out of your actual, like your operations, your parking of your vehicles? Or do the drivers have their own vehicles and they take home?
No, it will be purposely for the just maintenance. So if it's storage and everything, we have the other locations in the Juliet, Illinois.
Thank you. What type of, these are the semi-trucks? The trailers won't be on site?
Well, we do two types of the business. We are like as an investor, developer for the real estate. We do have like multiple locations, like 6 in Illinois. And so basically this will be for our maintenance and basically for the maintenance business.
Will you be doing maintenance on trailers or just
Truck and
trailers?
trailers. Truck and trailers.
Truck and trailers.
Currently, it's been like pretty much, there's only one building, like about like less than 2,000 square feet. It's
About 6,000.
No, the current one.
Oh,
Like it's just, yeah, it's really old and basically it's been not used and it was vacant for over a year, for close to 2 years. We had really, so, and we have currently the repo company, the car repo. So if we get the approval, so we can actually improve and build some space, and it's gonna be like, in addition, it's gonna be some movement economically.
I think one thing should be said is that the existing building that Mr. Beck just referred to will be removed. That location is approximately this area here.
It's gonna be newer, so it's 12,000 square feet for the future. Right now it's only like less than 2,000 square feet. I think it's 15 or maybe even 1,000 square feet building. It's really old. So with the new building, the parking, and the pond, the property should be in better condition.
Jacob, what's your projected timeline for renovations, and then what would be the status of the existing business that's there?
Well, at the same time, we're getting some quotes with the two companies, and they're supposed to give us a timeline with the quote as well. Right now, I would say within 12 months, I would say that, but it's my estimates.
12 months before you get started?
Oh, no. I think less than 12 months, but I think the process will take 12 months. The whole process probably will take 12 or maybe 18 months, I would say.
Okay.
That's my rough estimate.
But you expect to get started sooner than that?
He knows better.
And I would add to that concern or qualification that we're out taking bids now. We are thereafter going to evaluate and recommend. We have to then, in engineering, complete the documents to submit for permits to the building department. And that period is usually somewhere between 3 and 4 months in that category.
Currently, we have the tenant lease expires in August. And we're assuming everything goes well, that we're gonna take it over. And we're gonna develop some, building some structures and use by ourselves. So if everything goes smooth, I would expect between 12 and 18 months. Assuming everything goes well.
A project like this, does it need any kind of soil engineering or anything like that?
Yes, sir, it does. In fact, we've initiated that soil boring test, and that will be on a pattern at the site, more in keeping with the topography plan that we already have, which defines the type of soils, and as you may also know, there was a wetland delineation report, and that is part of our packet, which really defined the wetland area very close to the river location, and that would be the entire east border of the site.
And who determines where the boring is at?
We would determine that based upon the weight that it's asked to support. So, for example, we would note those soil borings to be in these two areas, and on a pattern that might well be the same as the structural footprint to hold up the building. Okay, so we'd locate a board right under the current location. I would say that we have probably 12 to 18 being considered right now with the engineering.
Thank you.
Maybe we'll welcome our village planner, Maura Rigoni. Maura, thanks for joining us. Maybe I'll just ask one question of you is, I welcome you to the mic, and as you kind of present to us anything you want to add, but kind of similar to Mayor Hardy's question, with this project being so close to the locale, are there environmental concerns that are being considered as we consider approving this, or is that all lumped into the MWRD application?
Yes, that would be. And just a little bit unique about this project is that when we saw its proximity to the Calumet and everything that was going on, we encouraged them immediately before getting too far down to have had initial conversations with MWRD. So that was just between the wetlands and so forth and understanding what the current site is. So yes, that will all be wrapped up with the MWRD. The recommendation for the condition is to keep it for final engineering, MWRD, highway and so forth, because we wanted to move forward with getting the special use in theory and in concept, but then working through all of the other engineering components, but yes. And I apologize, I can answer any other questions.
We're so glad you're here, though.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Or you can, you can take us through the review
Okay.
that you had planned to do. And
Okay.
Errol and Jacob did a good job presenting. The board probably asked most of our questions.
Just that
Oh,
one,
you just
just
wanna
number
go
5.
back?
No, you don't need to go through the whole thing, I certainly can. So I will keep it brief as to not to repeat and bore you. So this property is at 3120 170th Street. The applicant request is for a special use for truck repair. Also some variations respective to that. So this is zone M1. The property surrounding it is M1 with the exception of the property immediately across the street. When we met with the applicant, knowing that it was a truck use and the residents that are immediately across the street of 170th, we wanted to work with the design that would have the least minimal impact on the residents, being truck repair. With that, there is this L-shaped building. It is connected here. The bays are on this side and the bays are on that side. No bays are fronting 170th Street. Also there, I'm sure the architect had indicated that there will be a brick wall here to screen the parking then from 170th Street as well. They'll be utilizing the existing access, and back here is the truck parking areas. They have indicated that they've worked with the fire department. There were some site modifications to ensure that they had some access and circulation back here. With that, there is also a request for a variation, and that variation is for the required landscaping, not the green space, but the required landscaping plant material on the west side, north side, and east side. And with that, the conversation piece was because of its adjoining property, similar use to the west, the Calumet River to the east, as well as then the detention pond to the north. With that, looking to preserve as much of the landscaping that we could along 170th Street while adding some supplemental with some berms and so forth in this particular area. So they are actually providing, I think this is about 25 feet along the west property line. This is grassed here. During the public hearing, the Plan Commission did request that this additional be grassed here as well. So we are looking forward for that as a condition for final approval. Also, it is noted that the plan that you have in the packet is not reflective of the same plan as here. Well, actually it is. This is the 50-foot setback. I apologize. What's unique is that it meets all bulk requirements in terms of setbacks, except for that of the off of 170th Street. It is actually in excess of what our ordinance requires. Through the process, we found out that there was actually a platted 50-foot setback, and that was consistent, as you can see, of what's happening to the west. So the applicant was actually able to shift the building back 20 feet and modify the parking up here and pretty much keep everything in line so it's all the same. In your package should also be some elevations, building elevations. The building code requires that there is masonry along the buildings here. Due to the nature of the building and what is kind of the flavor of what's happening on the north side of 170th Street, looking to provide a metal building, but also a brick masonry knee wall to kind of help address that along 170th Street. And that was one of the reasons too why we encouraged the brick wall here along there. Some other items I would say is that for parking, they are meeting the parking requirements. They are also kind of exceeding the parking requirements. The way your ordinance is written is that you need so many parking stalls per bay, and that's because this is for a traditional automotive repair, but because it is trucking, we've offset by requiring some additional parking on the top as well. I can note that there were some conditions that came out of the Plan Commission, and that was, one is that we are going to limit the parking to the designated spots on the north side of the property only. The intent is, and we're working with the applicant to modify that language, that we want to ensure that it's within this general area so that we don't have an excess of trucks within here. The applicant has indicated that only those trucks that they will be servicing will be on the property, but to ensure that it does not exceed the traditional amount that would be for repairs, looking to have the designated component along the north end, therefore kind of keeping that streetscape on 170th. There is a decorative fence that is being proposed that is a wrought iron as well as brick pillar. We did not have the details at that time. We are finalizing those with the applicant as well as then the current location of that fence. If you've been by the property, there is actually a chain link fence that goes with barbed wire along 170th. They're requesting to keep the same chain link on the borders, but that's upgrading that fence along 170th Street. Also, some others is that no outdoor storage of materials. They've indicated, but we just want to make sure that it is clear that this is not to have that. As I had mentioned, the final engineering MWRD. But one of the other items that we're going to work on is that there is an access road that's actually to the village, to the pump house. The plan of surveys did not show any known easements. So actually the applicants have brought it to our attention. So as part of the process, we're going to work with the legal team to kind of solidify that access easement as part of this process to ensure that, since we're here, kind of clean things up to make sure that the village continues to have access for that. The applicant has not indicated any otherwise, but since we're here, we figured it'd be a good opportunity to clean that up as well. So again, before you is the special use for the auto repair, as well as then the variation for the plant material along the west, east, and north.
Thanks, Nora. As I look at the plan, just kind of visualizing the location, I'm thinking about 170th as it relates to Burnham to the east. I think one concern that I'm maybe visualizing is there any concern or was there any discussion about the vehicles exiting the property and having signage to require them to go west? Because it would be kind of a small radius to be able to turn to head east from that property, I would imagine, if you're dealing with trucks. Is that discussed at all?
170th is actually under the county's jurisdiction.
Okay.
So we have required as part of it to make sure that the county does sign off on that.
Okay.
So how they're gonna go ahead and handle that traffic pattern will be on them, but we can definitely bring that up as a conversation piece for our engineers when they do that review to see if there's any additional signage that would need to be. I think they had indicated that there was about 15 trucks coming in and out of a day.
Yes, that range.
Yeah, about 15 trucks. So we're not seeing an overabundance amount, but can recognize that that would be worth taking a look at. I'll make sure.
Thank you. Trustees, any questions for Village Planner Maloney or the applicants? Okay, having not, no further questions, Administrator, if we can have both the special use request and the variance request on the Village Board. Thank you. Thank you both for being here and presenting. Thank you for investing in our community. And we look forward to seeing where this goes. Thank you all as well.
Thank you. Thank you, trustee. I think we're gonna go back to building and IT and L&M marketing with trustee Lamont. Maura, are you gonna work, talk about the Golden Bear signage or? Yeah. So, trustee Lamont, it's back to you.
Yes, this is regarding the Golden Bear signage on Torrance Avenue.
We asked if there was anybody in the audience from Golden Bear just before you got here, and there's nobody here.
I did reach out to them a number of times and strongly encourage them to be here. Okay, yeah, that's why I included you. So you get me instead.
I mean, it's not an unusual request. We've done a number of electronic readers. If the board is okay with it, I think we can hear it. And then, if you want to punish the applicant for not being here, you can do that in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, I appreciate that. The request before is that this was at the same public hearing in January. This is public hearing for a special use for electronic message sign or reader board sign. As we've had a number of these come before us, both for institutional and for businesses. I think one of the businesses most recently would have been GFS for electronic reader board sign. So with this is for Golden Bear at 16851 Torrance Avenue. Below is a picture of the existing sign that is out there. Right here, they have a monument sign. They are proposing this sign here, which would have the monument sign and the reader board sign as well. So it's just incorporating both of them. This property is a little unique in that this is the parcel itself, but then it's part of a large PUD. Your ordinance looks at how much signage is based on how much frontage. Traditionally, this building has looked at having frontage on that of the access road as well as here. We did calculate, we did not have any records of signage has been there so long, but we did do our best to calculate that they are within the allowable size for the electronic message board sign. With that, we had asked that we include the same conditions that we have traditionally required in the electronic message centered signs, which is very consistent with the technology that we've had today. So that's the dimmable, the light censored, automatic adjusting for the amount of ambient light. We also included no flashing, no spinning, no revolving, and these are very consistent with what we required for others. What we have done is because the ordinance does require that you have landscaping along the base of the sign, even though they currently have landscaping now, we're requesting that that be a condition so they know to put the landscaping back in there as well. Correspondence with the applicant, they had no issues with that and was planning on that as well. One of the other items that is, there is a number of temporary signage on the property that I'm talking with the applicant, looking to keep some of it, making sure that temporary signs do have permits, but also then in conversations removing the banners that are here, and it was their intent to do as well. So kind of with this, they're gonna clean up the little ancillary signage that they have going on, and also then come in compliance with the landscaping as well. So this is just a special use, a variance request for size and anything at this proposal.
Mara, what's the size or the height? I'm sorry.
The height is 8 feet, and that's what your ordinance does allow in this district.
But you said they're gonna have their regular monumental sign in addition to the.
Correct. So it's gonna look in theory, they're gonna have to readjust in the, I have the sign here. So if it will look, it'll say Golden Bear on the top, and then that's the electronic message center. So this sign is gonna get smaller, they're obviously gonna remove it, but I just wanted to distinguish that they are gonna have both. The monument component of the identification will be on the top with the LED sign. And that was all encompassed in the calculation of the signage. And it'll meet all required setbacks, and then they still have to go through a building permit to review electrical and so forth.
Okay.
Does the board have any further questions? Look to put this on the next agenda. Well, thank you very much as always.
Thanks, Maura.
That's it, Nick?
Thank you, trustee. I believe I need to go to youth center and venue and operation, trustee Robinson.
Thank you, Mayor. Nothing on the agenda tonight.
Very good. All right, at this point, we're going to open up the public comment. Public comment would be only items that were on this agenda for the committee of the whole here tonight. Is there any public comment? Not, we're going to close that portion. Do trustees have anything for old business? Do trustees have anything for new business? I need a motion to adjourn to executive sessions to discuss matters pertaining to the purchase or lease of real property for the use of public body, litigation, and review